environments where you are, showing ability to really step up and give leadership to your colleagues, how you deal with adverse, difficult situations, those kinds of things is very important. Because ultimately we are not looking for analysts, we are looking for people who will become kind of long-term leaders.
Start the session, I think. Yes. So my first question is that, so how and when did you decide to enter the field of consulting? And so how one recognize like if he or she is suitable for the consulting career?
Good question. So after IIT, I joined IIM Ahmedabad. So I graduated from IIT Delhi in 1992 and I joined IIM Ahmedabad. So I went for a management course. At that time, honestly, I didn't have much of I didn't do any job in between. I went directly. So honestly, I didn't have much of an idea in terms of the corporate world and business, how it works, etc.
Yes, sir.
So I think a lot of that I picked up in IIM Ahmedabad. And in those days, consulting was not that well developed. I think, very few firms were there. McKinsey had only just come in, BCG wasn't there. And I actually joined at that time a company called Andersen Consulting, which is now called Accenture. So that time it was called Andersen Consulting, out of IIM Ahmedabad. And what I liked, so that time, honestly, it wasn't a very consciously thought through decision, but I liked the fact that, what the consulting job entails is problem solving.
Yes, sir.
And solving problems on behalf of our clients. Complex problems, and also working alongside other people. That appeals to me. So it's not a solo kind of thing, but more of a team effort, teamwork. Yeah, and I could see that this is a good way of applying, a cross-functional set of skills. Because even in IIM Ahmedabad, I did not specialize in finance or marketing, so I took more of a general management view. And so, at that time, a lot of people were going for finance or for marketing, but I found that a little bit more of a, all-rounded, multidisciplinary view is good. And honestly, I think, a couple of things which from my IIT time, I'm sure you have, I think there used to be a third-year course in operations research, and those kinds of things. So I had found that even in IIT, those OR type of courses, I had really enjoyed.
The management courses.
Yeah. So those were, they were still, I did this undergrad was in mechanical.
Okay.
So in part of the mechanical curriculum, there was some kind of operations research type of courses. Things like applying linear programming or, various other techniques for solving, optimization, constraint optimization type of problems and applying those to real life problems. So I quite enjoyed that aspect of it. So, and that appealed to me. And then eventually I, this is like 27 years I've spent in the consulting field. This is my third firm. Started in Andersen Consulting, then for a long time I spent in a company called Booz and Hamilton, which was eventually acquired by PwC. And last 7 years I've been a partner in McKinsey. So it's been a journey across different geographies, different industries, I would say, but largely I have also followed this theme around energy, right? So early career, I worked in the oil and gas space, then, power, most recently in renewables. So there's also been a link to my mechanical engineering background. So, the thermal science and other courses that I did. I had also taken some, one or two courses in power engineering at that time, from the electrical side. So I think that has stayed with me. What the engineering discipline gives you is a very sharp problem solving focus, that any problem, you're able to put a structure to the problem. It may not, initially it may not look very clear what the problem is, and just to understand it. But I think what IIT experience gives you the confidence that if you're in any kind of situation, you're able to really understand the problem, break it down into its constituent parts. What techniques to apply in different areas. So that, I think, it's a excellent way to prepare you for a consulting career. Now, how do you know if the consulting career is right for you? Honestly, there's no way of knowing. But there are a few things which I can share from my experience which will be helpful. I think if you enjoy a variety of work, rather than say that, look, every day I'm going to do very similar kind of work. So in consulting, no 2 days are the same, right? So it's like literally, one day you're on the shop floor, next day you're in the boardroom making presentations, third day you're doing some other thing. So if variety of work appeals to you, then you should consider consulting. Cracking difficult problems appeals to you, you should consider consulting. Working in teams, you should definitely consider consulting. International travel, of course, now with COVID, it is much more difficult. But in my career, 13 years of my 26 years I've spent in the UK. I was living in the UK, and then I think 2008, it was 1995 to 2008, I was based in the UK. And so there I did projects in Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, France, Italy, Sweden, Finland. So all over Europe, I was UK, of course. So I was based in London, and I did all of that. US, I've spent time in the Middle East, then Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, Australia. So it gives you a fantastic opportunity to work in different geographies. I quite enjoy working in different cultural environments as well, learning from those environments. So, that kind of variety, that broad perspective, cracking difficult problems, working with other people. If you enjoy those kinds of things, then I think this is a good career to consider.
Nice. Thank you, sir. So this is the most asked question, so from the student community, what all do major firms like McKinsey look for in a prospective candidate?
Yeah, no, I also am part of our recruitment leadership team in McKinsey in India. So I look after a little bit more the experienced hires, not so much from campuses, although I do my share of campus recruitment also. But we are more and more hiring people with industry experience, maybe 5 years, maybe even longer. So I look after that experience hire, and the fundamentals are very similar. What we look for in candidates. So academics are important, right? So they are important, and typically not because we are chasing the highest CGPA or something like that, or the highest grades, but more, I think it shows a degree of application and discipline and focus. That is important. Second, all of our interviews are what we call case-based interviews. Mm-hmm. So where you are given, described a certain business problem or an economic problem, and you are expected to go through a problem-solving process. And of course, the interviewer is there to help you, give you some guidance, give you data. But we are looking for people who are able to take, complex, difficult, unclear problems and structure the problem in a way that all the different aspects of the problem are captured. Apply some techniques to it. Quantitative analysis is very important. All of our work we do is very highly quantitative. So, familiarity, ease with numbers, that kind of thing is very important. So, in a case interview, you will definitely be asked, more kind of to go through some kind of a quantitative analysis. And, it could be something very simple, like a market sizing type of problem, or it doesn't assume any previous knowledge that you have on any industry. So it's not like if they're asking you a problem on, fast moving consumer goods or on oil and gas, they expect you to know all that, right? But making the right assumptions, familiarity with numbers, and coming to some kind of answer. And the answer is not important, but the process of arriving at the answer, how you tackle the problem, are you asking the right questions? When things are not clear.
Basically the approach.
Sorry?
Basically
the approach, yes. Exactly. And when things are unclear, are you comfortable in making an assumption and moving forward? And then, coming back to the assumption. So that part, that kind of problem-solving approach is very important. The third aspect is what we look for is teamwork and leadership, right? So this can be your extracurriculars. It can be, like in, BSP or BSW or BSA, those kinds of environments where you are, showing ability to really step up and give leadership to your colleagues. How you deal with adverse, difficult situations, those kinds of things is very important. Because ultimately we are not looking for analysts, we are looking for people who will become kind of long-term leaders, whether in McKinsey or outside. So not everyone who joins McKinsey stays for the entire career. Yeah, but we, at least in McKinsey, we have a very strong alumni network, that people who have spent a few years in McKinsey then go on to do other things. So they become leaders in their own field outside. So that ability to lead, ability to take decisions in adverse situations, that is a very important aspect of what we look at. And then teamwork. I think, individuals are, individual performers don't do very well in a consulting environment. So we look for people who are not just with other consultants, but with, we do joint work with our clients in teams, right? So we would be in a team environment with, maybe 10 or 15 different client people as well. How are you able to lead them on? How are you able to work with kind of without creating any friction or conflict? Those kinds of things are very important.
Yes, absolutely. So my next question is, could you share your memorable experiences of when you worked with clients from various countries and all, like?
Yeah, look, I think some really excellent opportunities. I think one is, I would say, what in the recent years, what in McKinsey I've been doing is, the whole growth of the renewable energy segment in India. So about 4 or 5 years ago, these companies were very small, and they were not, it wasn't very clear how the growth was going to be. I got the chance to work with 2 or 3 of the leading renewable energy companies in India, and across all aspects. How to think about their strategy, how to think about how they raise money, how to win new projects, execute new projects, use of digital analytics, how to build their organization, all of those things. And so, to me, it's almost like maybe in the sort of early to mid 90s, there was the whole the Infosys, Wipro, TCS, they were very small companies, and we in McKinsey and other firms also, we helped them grow from a $40-50 million, $100 million companies to the multi-billion dollar companies they are today. So it's almost an opportunity to be involved in the growth of an entire sector or an entire industry, which is very exciting. And I've really enjoyed that experience. So I won't take names of companies, but there are 2 or 3 companies which have become very successful in this space. And it's been a great opportunity to, not just help them grow, but to have the development of the sector in India. And you see how globally now, solar energy in India is among the lowest in the world. The cost of solar energy is among the lowest in the world, right? And through, of course, helping those companies grow, but also increasing the share of renewable energy in the overall India's energy basket, reducing what we call energy poverty in India, making more energy available and seeing how that can help actually improve economic growth in the country. So those have been very satisfying. That's one example of what has been a very satisfying experience for me in the recent years. And I think more we will see this growth of sustainability, renewables, this whole area of green financing that's going to be coming up, new innovative business models that are getting built off the back of this renewable energy revolution, microgrids and so on. So I've, of course, there are many other people who have played. I've played a small part in that, I would like to think. But for me, this has been a big, so I see where the sector is now versus say 4-5 years ago, 2016-17, when I started working in this sector. It has been a success story, I think. And so it's very, very satisfying. Another example I will share with you is what we have helped the Indian Railways do. And this is also in the public domain that Indian Railways has set up. I think this was back in 2016-17. Our Honorable Prime Minister felt that, the technical skills, developing technical skills in Indian Railways is falling behind. Right? And he announced a National Rail and Transportation University that was going to be set up. So I worked on that. I helped the Ministry of Railways to actually, from a blank sheet of paper, conceptualize what this university should be, what should be the curriculum, how to do it, and so on. And it got set up. Now, the last 2 years, there have been 2 batches. Now, this year will be the 3rd batch that's come in. It's in Baroda and it's doing well. So that's been another example which has been very, very satisfying in terms of making some real change on the ground.
Yes. So as you have said, like you did an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. So yeah. How big a role an MBA play to enter a consulting career, or like how big a role your MBA play in your current field?
Yeah, so there are we also hire directly from undergrad, and there are people who come in and they work for a few years after undergrad. Some of them go on to do an MBA. Others choose to stay as well. So there are colleagues who have joined from the undergrad, didn't do an MBA, but then went on to become quite successful in a consulting career. So both routes are available. Right. So MBA, what does the MBA give you? I think it gives you some grounding in the management sciences and across different this thing. And here, of course, people specialize in finance or marketing or HR or various different aspects, operations, different aspects of it. That is a good grounding. I think it helps further sharpen this problem-solving skills. But I think 2 other important things that MBA gives you. One, it gives you a network, right? So, of course, IIT also gives you a network of people who you are in college with now. As you go forward and they become more successful, it gives you a network to plug into. And the MBA network is another such, very strong network, because that network stays with you forever. So I graduated 26 or 27 years ago from IIM. And with my batchmates and people who are 1 or 2 batches above or below me, I'm still in touch with all of them. And many of them are in different organizations in India and abroad. So as you are growing and becoming successful, they are also growing and becoming successful in senior roles. So that network is a very important one that the MBA gives you. Which is, I think, a big element of, especially in consulting, because it's again, totally a people type of business. Right? I think the other aspect is that management is more of an applied science, right? So it forces you a little bit to think in terms of outcomes and results. whether it's financial results or other results, to say that, look, if I'm doing X, Y, and Z, what outcome am I trying to achieve? Now, it could be improving the profitability of a company, or it could be improving the growth of the company, or market share, or whatever, right? Or customer satisfaction. So I think that was one difference I found. Well, the IIT experience was great in terms of the basic technology, engineering solutions, but it probably wasn't very outcome oriented. The joy was in solving the problem, not so much thinking about, say that, look, when I graduated from IIT, you give a tough problem, you got a lot of satisfaction by creating an elegant solution to the problem, right? But what management forces you to do is that, look, maybe the solution is not so elegant and you get to an 80% solution, but that gets you to a result much faster, rather than spending more time in solving the problem fully, right? But you say that, look, I solved 70-80% of the problem, now I am able to implement it and get results much quicker. Or maybe I do solve 80% of the problem and I get like 90% of the results, versus solve 100% of the problem but I get the results like 1 year later or 6 months later. So doing those kind of judgment calls and being outcome focused is something that management teaches you. And of course MBA is only the starting point. What you pick all this up as you go into either in consulting or in corporate management careers, you're having to make these decisions at every point in time. Then what are those trade-offs? But MBA actually gives you the tools and the way to think about, what are those trade-offs, how to make the trade-offs. I think another element is that the MBA has a deeper grounding in social sciences and behavioral sciences, which, an engineering degree doesn't always, although I know there are some humanities courses, etc. But, I found that the most important aspect of a management career is actually the HR aspect, because all organizations are all about people, right? And one of the things that actually even an MBA doesn't always teach you well to do is how do you work with people, how do you inspire them, how do you get performance, get them to really do the right things, how do you instill a set of values into people. So even during my MBA course, HR and organization, the OB we used to call it, organization behavior, those courses were, I think, not well understood. But in real life, when you do a job, whether it's in consulting or in corporate, anywhere you are in charge of any kind of management role, working with people and this HR aspect is even more important than finance or marketing and so on. So that's at least in my sense the big sort of learning for me was that part, which of course that's not the focus of an engineering education, but certainly in MBA that's something which is very important.
Yes. So sir, could you share some of your memories of your IITD journey, and so basically what all activities you were involved in? So what was your hostel?
Sure. Yes. Yeah, I was in Nilgiri. So in those days there were only 5 hostels. Okay. So Nilgiri, Karakoram, Aravali, Jwala and Kumaon. Undergrad and Kailash, there was only those 6 and Shivalik and Vindhyachal for the PGs. And so that was it. I think now there are many, many more hostels probably. And that, the whole...
There are 11 boys hostel and 2 girls hostel.
2 girls hostels, yeah. So that, even the campus, if you see, there was hardly anything beyond Nilgiri, right? So there was that, when Nilgiri finishes, after that, it was just empty. Now, of course, there's the Center for Management Studies and many other buildings that have come up. Yeah, that part of the campus was totally absent in those days. So I'm talking about, I wrote my JEE in 1988. In that case, there was no mains or advanced. There was only one exam, one step type of thing, and you got 1 rank based on that. So I got into mechanical in IIT Delhi. I'd gone to school as well in Delhi. I was in DPSR Kipuram. Yeah, so many DPS Archipuram people ended up in the IIT system. No, it was a fantastic 4 years. I think I still look back very fondly about all the experience. I decided to, make the most of that experience. So I was very active in what we used to call BRCA at that time. I don't know if it's still around. The cultural side of things.
The cultural side.
Yeah. So I was one of the leading lights of that. So in terms of organizing rendezvous and quizzing, dramatics, debating, various other activities. So I was all 4 years I was very active in that, in addition to the academic side of things. And it was, I think, the friendships that you make stay with you even now. With many of my batchmates from Nilgiri and elsewhere, we have still very active touch now with, of course, WhatsApp and other mechanisms. It's very helpful to do all that. But I'll give you one example. So my son is studying in the US in University of California, Berkeley. So he's about to graduate in May. So I think just before the lockdown, he had to travel to, I forget, so he's in Berkeley, which is near San Francisco. And he had to travel to Boston for some work, something he had to do there. And he didn't have a place to stay in Boston. So all I had to do was find my batchmate who was, was a very good friend. He used to be in Kumaon. And I just called him and said, hey, my son is coming. Can he stay the night with you? I said, yes, of course. So my son just, took the flight, went to Boston, took an Uber to his house, and he stayed there for a day. And my friend regaled him with stories of our time in IIT. So, it's like a family. It's an extended family. You can always kind of, you'll always find a place in any of the, the 300 odd people. No one will even think twice about helping when they can. So, you graduate with a degree and you graduate with lots of, great experiences, but you also graduate with a set of friends, lifelong friendships and family. So the other day, again, I think this was back in 2017 that we had our 25th reunion of our batch. So in the 25th reunion, one of the evenings is in the institute. Other evening is by hostel. You kind of meet by hostel. And so the Nilgiri group actually met in my house. So we hosted them here. There was, I think, some 25 or 30 people landed up. We had just the most fantastic time. It's just like going back 25 years because we are all much older now. Similarly, when I go to the US or to Europe and other places, all I have to do is, pick up the phone, and there's always, a group of friends I can, link back to, meet back up. And everybody's doing different things. Some of them are, consultants like me. Others are, entrepreneurs. Some of them went into academics. So everyone has taken sort of different paths in that sense. Others are doing corporate jobs. So it's very rich. Of course, you have to continue to kind of invest in the relationships, but there is something in those formative years that gets built up, which is some magic that gets in. I think that IIT magic stays with us for all our lives, rest of our careers. So I think that's what I cherish the most. And of course, there are many such stories. So with the whole RCA activities, 3 or 4, first year not so much, but second, third, fourth year I was very active during rendezvous, organizing various different events. So many such situations. When we were in IIT, there was, it's long before your time, but there was something in 1989 called the Mandal Commission agitation that had happened. So we were all very sort of active at that time in the whole Mandal Commission thing. This was, when somebody called VP Singh was the Prime Minister. So that must have been 1989 or 1990. So big kind of student agitation had happened. It was, not much in IIT, but we all got quite excited during that time on that. Then the summer training was a great experience. I was in Bombay for my summer training with a bunch of. I stayed in the IIT Bombay campus at that time. So and there used to be these inter-IIT events. I don't know if they're still there from time to time. So I traveled to IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, various other places. So got to see some of those things. And those days we used to do an industrial training type of thing. So of course, the group from mechanical, we found some factory to visit in Goa. Of course, that factory visit was not the important thing, but just to go to Goa together was the more memorable part. I think we went there for 3 or 4 days, but the factory visit was like half a day or something. Half of us didn't even go for the factory visit, I think. But Suvojoy Agro or something, I don't remember. But that was another kind of, going all in a train from Delhi, then time we spent together in that trip. So I think many memories, but as I said, this is really think of it as a family, even 30 years, almost now 33 years now this will be since I joined IIT. But these friendships and they become everybody becomes an extended part of the family in that sense.
Yes. So the most important question that the students want to ask, sir. So during the last placement or intern season, so we saw a pattern where consulting companies were hiring less students the last season. So do you feel that this pattern would be observed in the coming years? Like you said, like you are the head of the recruiting division of the McKinsey. So can you please comment about this?
No, so this kind of little bit ups and downs always happen. I think given the COVID situation last year, honestly, a lot of us, kind of pulled back our hiring plans a little bit. Right, but this year is looking good. And I think already, I'm not sure from IIT Delhi what the situation is, but from the MBA campuses, we have hired some pretty large batches. Our objective here is to create opportunities. Because in our consulting, there is no the biggest asset is our people, right? And so we want to be a top draw as far as the talent is concerned. McKinsey has always been that way, that the best talent we would like to have. And when we go to campuses, we typically don't have like a target number of how many people we want to hire. We would like to hire as many as we can. People who really fit our what we are looking for, and we see that there's a long-term potential for success within that. So, little bit numbers will continue to go up or down. I wouldn't worry about it. But the good thing is that, if you are considering consulting as a career, there are many points at which you can enter consulting. So it's not just out of campus. So more and more, I think what we are finding, if I look back 25 years when I started my career, it was more around sort of just the analytical problem solving. But more and more we find that expertise, so, it actually didn't matter whether you were an expert in a sector or not, right? So you could be doing a banking study this month and FMCG study next month and so on, right? But more and more we are finding that our clients are looking for deep expertise in certain areas, right? So therefore, the campus hiring we are also balancing with this, kind of lateral hiring, expert hiring at all levels, right? 2-3 years out of university up to 10-15 years out. So I joined McKinsey in 2014 when I had done 20 years. Of course, I was in consulting in another consulting firm, but there are people who have come in with like 15 years of no consulting experience, purely industry experience, and they have entered consulting and done very well on it as well. Right, so there are multiple entry points, but I think next few years it will all again depend upon how the economy is picking up, recovery from COVID, and so on. I think even in our overall global system, the success that we have seen with people who have come from the IIT system and the IIM system, not just in India but overall globally in McKinsey, has been very good. So our managing partner for India, Gautam, is an IIT Delhi alum, and there's many other such cases. So the brand is well understood, the brand is well known. So we'd love to recruit as many as we can, but of course year by year there's some ups or downs that will always be there.
Yes. So sir, a personal question, like I have heard like consulting is a very demanding career from the seniors and all. So sir, how is the work-life balance as you progress the ladder in consulting? Like,
yeah, it is demanding. Demanding in the sense that there are no, as I said, no 2 days are the same.
mm-hmm.
Similarly, there is no fixed hours, right? So often it is that we are working in some tough deadlines, and our clients are also working in that same kind of mindset, results-oriented mindset, right? So, and I think more and more work we are doing now is tied to results. So earlier, if you see, consulting engagements used to be like a fixed price type of fixed scope type of model. But here, and not just McKinsey but other firms also, a lot of our fees are tied to actual results being delivered to the client. That could be an improved reduction in cost, improvement in margin, improvement in market share, whatever it is, right? So whatever metrics, KPIs are used. So that means our accountability to the client is to results, not a report, right? So that means the brief therefore is whatever it needs to be done, and that can be that there is many weeks where you have to work maybe 80-90 hours a week. Other weeks are not that difficult. So it depends upon how we normally tend not to do weekend working. We try to avoid weekend working, but from time to time there is some need for weekend working. Travel has traditionally been a very important big part of what we do, because we find that being with the client and really working side by side, hand in hand with the clients is where, and especially for operational work, which is in a factory or a warehouse or in the market, in the field, all of us have done lots and lots of that in our, different parts of our career. Of course, last 12 months, because of COVID, we are finding that it is also possible to be effective on a virtual type of environment, and all of us are learning new skills as a result of that. But the travel is another demanding, element of demanding part. So you can think that, look, if I'm on a 3-4 month study and every sort of Monday morning I'm leaving, and let's say Thursday or Friday I'm coming back, so then you only get maybe 2 days a week with your family, right? And sometimes in India, what we find, if you're doing, especially in sort of industrial sector or energy sector, mining, the client locations are also very far. So it's not Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, it could be way out places, somewhere in Odisha or somewhere in Chhattisgarh. So let's say to get to the nearest airport is maybe a 3-4 hour drive, right? So, and that adds to the challenge, because then you say that in some cases we've seen that the team had to leave on a Sunday night to reach on Monday morning at the client site, and then maybe even leave on a Saturday morning or Friday late night, that kind of thing. So I think after COVID, some of that will go back to before, but a lot of that may not, right? And as you grow more senior, what happens is that so the early stages, you're on sort of one client or one study at any given point in time. So let's say a 3-month, 4-month, 6-month period, that's what you're doing, kind of back and forth. But as you're becoming more senior at an associate partner level, you're doing multiple studies. Okay. and also you have a little bit more control over what you are doing and what you're not doing. So then, what I try to do is at least have, one or two studies outside of Delhi, one or two studies in Delhi, so that I can spend, a couple of days a week at least, not more than a couple of nights away from home, that kind of thing. International travel is there, and actually this is something with McKinsey, one of the big advantages. We work in a very global fashion, right? So we have processes which allow our consultants to be staffed across global locations. Pre-COVID also we have a very clear kind of a global rotation program where even if you are a consultant in India and you wanted to go spend say 3 months or 6 months in say Europe or US or Southeast Asia or Japan or wherever, you could get staffed on an engagement there, right? And then of course you're not coming back every week, but you're going there and you're staying there for like 2 months or 3 months, really experiencing, getting to travel, experiencing a totally new culture. And as a global firm, that's a very attractive proposition. We find other firms are often not able to deliver on that. But I think I would say in our system, 50% of the consultants, and some people don't want to do that. They just have family, etc., and they prefer to stay in India. But at least more than 50% of the consultants would have done some kind of a global rotation at some point in their careers, and it's available to whoever wants it. So that does add a little bit to the work-life balance challenge. But I would say, compared to other things like say investment banking, this is a much better environment. I think the work pressure is not, we like to say that, consultants think they're doing some very important work, but it's not like a doctor or a surgeon that lives don't depend on it, right? So that way, we think we do a lot of important work, but it's not life-changing type of thing. So there are mechanisms that you can do to handle, and what's good is that once we put a team together to do an engagement, there's always initially a discussion we have to say that, look, some people like to work early morning, some people like to work late evenings, some people have some, family commitments that you have to pick up kids from school or something. And we generally have a way to find the, flexibility so that we can meet everyone's requirements. So that's a conscious discussion that happens at the beginning of every time a study team is set up. We have that discussion among the team and we figure out for example, we have some team norms. Let's say that, look, we won't work on a Saturday or a Sunday. Or let's say late Friday evening, we won't keep a meeting. Sometimes if let's say the client expects us, because many clients in India work on Saturdays, like 6-day week. They expect us to be there on Saturday, but as a partner, then I go and have the discussion with the client, senior client, and tell them that, look, it's not you may be working on Saturday, not our model. We will generally not be there. So having some tough discussions are also important. So I think those are some mechanisms that are used. It is, I would say, demanding, challenging at times. Other times are easier. But as you grow more sort of senior, you get a little bit more control over what, where you spend your time, how you spend your time. There are lots of resources available also. So if you're feeling under pressure, if you're feeling that you can't cope, there's, your sponsors, mentors, other people you can turn to for help. And generally, I've found that, this is something that firms have become much better at managing and giving that degree of, because we all believe that this is a long-term commitment to a career you're making. So it has to work, it can't be that you're kind of burning out by the time you're 30 or 35. It has to work in a sustainable way.
Yes, absolutely. So, sir, the last question is, sir, any final piece of advice to the present students, like what should they gain from the IITD journey and make it a memorable one?
I think this is like a unique 4 years of your life. This never comes back, right? And that then you kind of, when you're in there, you're caught up in so many different things. You don't always appreciate this opportunity that you have, to learn from the best faculty, learn from each other, so that the academic side of it is, of course, important. But I think a lot of life skills. So if I look back in my time, it is about leadership. It is about working with people. It is about adversity, helping each other out. Many of those things, when we are there, either we don't realize we are going through it, or we, somehow we are not. We're too cynical to really think that this is something really valid, right? So I think it's like every opportunity, just think about, the friendships you're making, how you're investing in those relationships. As I said, this is a network that stays with you for life. And it is, this is one network which I find is a very non-judgmental group of friends. You've all kind of grown up together from the sort of 17, 18 up to 22 years of age. So it's, you've seen each other in best of times, worst of times. So I remember in my fourth year, in my final semester, my father passed away when I was in my fourth year, a long time ago. And the way my friends kind of rallied around and helped me, I still remember it to this day, right? So, in whether beyond this, whether it's in a MBA situation or in work, everybody is kind of then jostling and judgmental, right? So this is one place where it is totally a kind of you make the friendships because you like each other. You spend, you've seen each other in best of times, worst of times. So I think that's something to bear in mind. I think take every opportunity to try new things, right? And many people don't do that. I think either they just focus on the studies part of it or something. But this is like like going to a buffet lunch or a buffet dinner. IIT gives you many opportunities, whether it's sports or cultural or this BSW or writing or academics. Try everything. Try as many things as you can, because this is also as a individual, you're trying to figure out what really gives you energy, what gives you excitement, and in a low risk of failure, low downside way. There's many different things that one can try out. So I think this is one thing that just make the most of it. There's these 4 years are not going to come back. And I look back at my time, I tried lots of different things. Some I was good at, some I was not good at, but no regrets from that perspective. I think it shapes, the way you come out of this undergraduate education and go on to your working career, etc. It shapes many aspects of your, how you take risks, how you approach unknown situations, right? So I remember at one time that there was this, I think this was back in my second year or third year, I don't remember, when we were doing something and, organizing for rendezvous. And there was I think one of the sponsors pulled out, the money they were going to give, they pulled out. And we said, shit, what are we going to do? We'll have to cancel half of the events or something. And then we kind of all rallied together and said, look, who knows which other companies can we go to? And we were able to raise the money. So this kind of uncertain, difficult type of situation and, finding solutions together, these are things that stay with, it gives you the confidence, the IIT experience gives you the confidence that you can deal with anything in life. So I think those are the things, just enjoy, have fun, try new things, get as many experience. And now, of course, you guys have a lot of international exposure also. I think there's probably some exchange student programs and all, although because of COVID may not be happening. But those things weren't there at our time. It was much more, focused. And sort of these memories will stay with you for the rest of your lives.
So, Suvojoy, so that would be all for the session. So, on behalf of BSW and IITD, I would like to thank you for taking out time and doing so.
Sure.
And I wish you all the best for your future endeavors.